ẹ̀yin ènìyàn wa. Àṣírí ọlọ́pàá yìí tú o. Ọlọ́pàá Nuhu Usman tó pa afurasí arákùnrin ọ̀dọ́mọkùnrin kan ní àná. Ẹ tiẹ̀ kọ́kọ́ wo irun tí ASP ọlọ́pàá tó gẹ̀ sórí. Ẹ ti mọ irú èèyàn tó jẹ́. Òun ló pa ọ̀dọ́mọkùnrin kan lánàá. Àṣírí rẹ̀ ti tú o. Ó ti fa oríṣiríṣi awuyewuye. Àwọn iléeṣẹ́ oníròyìn àwọn náà ti sọ̀rọ̀ sí i. Wọ́n ti sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ẹ̀ o. Bó tẹ̀ jẹ́ wípé wọ́n ní ó ti wà ní àgọ́ ọlọ́pàá l'Àbújá. Ṣùgbọ́n ó ti wá fa oríṣiríṣi ìbéèrè wípé kí ló dé tí ọlọ́pàá ọ́físà ASP Usman tó pa arákùnrin yẹn lójú ẹsẹ̀. Tó tẹ̀ jẹ́ wípé wọ́n ní ọ̀gá wọn láti division wọn ni wọ́n ní kó lọ mú arákùnrin yẹn wá. Ìyẹn ni Ògidì Mene ní orúkọ ẹ̀, ẹni tó pa yẹn. Ìbọn tó lóun ká mọ́ nínú ọkọ̀ waybill. Wọ́n ní ó fẹ́ fi lọ jíṣẹ́ fúnyàn ni. Wọ́n rán oníṣẹ́ ni. Ta ló rán oníṣẹ́? Ta ni wọ́n rán oníṣẹ́ sí? Tí ọlọ́pàá Usman yóò bá mọ ẹni tí wọ́n ní kó arákùnrin yẹn lọ gbé ìbọn fún waybill yẹn kò ní pa. Àti wípé ibi tó ti ń gbé ìbọn yẹn ń bọ̀. Ṣé ọlọ́pàá yìí mọ̀ ń pa ẹ̀ ni ló torí pa ọ̀dọ́mọkùnrin yẹn? Ẹ̀yin ènìyàn wa, ó ti fa ìbéèrè púpọ̀ o. Ọ̀gá ọlọ́pàá tẹ́ ń wò yìí, ó ti ṣàlàyé gbogbo ẹ̀ bó ṣe jẹ́ o. Wípé ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn o, àwọn ò ní fọwọ́ yẹpẹrẹ mú. Wípé ọlọ́pàá yìí tó pa ọ̀dọ́mọkùnrin yẹn, dájúdájú nǹkan kan wà tó fẹ́ bò láàrin ibẹ̀ yẹn. Ìbọn pistol tó lóyún wọ́n ká mọ́ inú ọkọ̀ ọ̀dọ́mọkùnrin yẹn. Kì í dẹ̀ ṣe ọ̀dọ́mọkùnrin yẹn ló ní. Waybill ni wọ́n fi rán oníṣẹ́ ni. Ta ló rán oníṣẹ́? Ta ni wọ́n rán oníṣẹ́ sí? Tí ọ̀dọ́mọkùnrin yẹn dẹ̀ ń pariwo ní ilẹ̀ ibi tí wọ́n tẹ̀ ti de ọwọ́ ẹ̀ mọ́ torí wọ́n ti handcuff ẹ̀ already. Ó dẹ̀ ń sọ fún ọ́físà ASP Usman wípé I will carry you go there. Má pààyàn mi, má pa mí. Sápẹ́lẹ́ road ni màá gbé ẹ débẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n tí ọ́físà Usman ASP tó kọ̀ jálẹ̀ wípé rárá sẹ́, àní àfi tóun bá pa. So kí nìdí tí Usman fi pa? Gẹ́gẹ́ bí iṣẹ́ agbófinró nígbà tó ti lọ pa suspect àfúrásì, báwo ni wọ́n ṣe fẹ́ wá ṣe ìwádìí ẹni tó ní ìbọn, ibi tí arákùnrin yẹn ń gbé ìbọn lọ àti ẹni tó gbé ìbọn rán. Ẹ̀yin ènìyàn wọ́n jẹ́ ká fi ohùn sí kẹ́ bá wa gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́nu ọ̀kan lára àwọn ọ̀gá ọlọ́pàá tí wọ́n pè lórí iléeṣẹ́ Channel TV tí wọ́n gbé wá sórí ètò ń bẹ̀ pé kó ṣàlàyé kí ló dé tí irú nǹkan wọ̀nyí tí ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nínú iléeṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá. Ṣebí wọ́n ti ní kí wọ́n ẹ́ẹ̀dì EndSARS. Ó ti wá di wípé wọ́n ti padà sí ìwà tí wọ́n hù tẹ́lẹ̀ o. Ọ̀tọ̀ làwọn ajínigbé tí wọ́n ń para ìlú. So ọlọ́pàá náà, àwọn náà àti máa para ìlú bó ṣe wù wọ́n. Báwo ni ọlọ́pàá ṣe lè pa èèyàn ní gbangba tí kìí ṣe wípé wọ́n ti gbé délé ẹjọ́? Ilé ẹjọ́ ò tí ì dájọ́ fún. Wọn ò tí ì ní ó jẹ̀bi. Lójú ẹsẹ̀ ó dẹ̀ ti pa. Dájúdájú ọlọ́pàá yẹn mọ̀ ń pa nǹkan tí wọ́n torí mú arákùnrin yẹn. Ẹ bá wa gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́nu ọ̀gá ọlọ́pàá tẹ̀ ń wò yìí, ẹ̀yin ènìyàn wa. Ọ̀rọ̀ ìlú yìí ó ti wá lágbára báyìí o. Ọlọ́pàá yìí a jẹ́ pé ó ti pa èèyàn tó pọ̀ gan o. Ọpẹ́lọpẹ́ social media, ọpẹ́lọpẹ́ tí àwọn èèyàn fídíò ibi tí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ yẹn ti ṣẹlẹ̀ ni o. Púpọ̀ ẹ̀mí láti bọ́ lọ́wọ́ arákùnrin ASP Usman Nuhu yìí. Bá wa tẹ́tí ńlẹ̀.
I will start with the issue at hand, which is a very sad issue. Since my 6 years of public relations, this is my most difficult moment because having an incident that cannot be explained is very difficult. There is no explanation for this. That policeman, I just don't get what I would say was wrong with him. You know, police cannot attribute problem to spirituality, but that may not be far from it because that's the only explanation that one can give to what he did. When the 24th Commissioner of Police assumed duty as the CP Delta State, he had a stakeholders meeting where he advised park owners and courier, that's logistics company, on the need to search waybill before they allow it to fly, because drug peddlers and gun barons, that is armed peddlers too, they started transporting this thing through the means of waybill. So on Sunday, This young man came with a waybill. Having had that meeting with the CP, the park decided to check every waybill before they were allowed to go. On checking that particular waybill, they saw a Beretta pistol with 4 rounds of live ammunition. They quickly arrested the guy and tied him to his back and called the area commander, Efurun Area Command, who now mandated a team, a surveillance team, led by this ASP, to go and bring the suspect. The instruction was very clear. Go and bring the suspect. That was the instruction. So one would wonder why a suspect who is not a threat to you, a suspect who is already tied to his back, a suspect who was begging for his life, you try to shoot him the first time, it did not work, you remove your magazine, arrange it again and shoot him for the second time. It is not explainable, it is not pardonable. And I want members of the public to know that the police does not cover officers like that. I'm very sure that guy will have his day in court and will face murder charges. I'm very sure. I will not speak for the top hierarchy of the force, but I'm certain that is the direction it is going, because as we speak, he left Asaba last night by night movement. They left Asaba to Benin to conclude his query, and they left Benin as at 8 p.m. yesterday going to Abuja. I believe as at this morning they're already in the force headquarters, because he will be dealt with. There is already an ongoing section of the force disciplinary committee that will handle his case, and I believe by the end of today we will hear the outcome of that section. So it is not something we can explain. He only knows, he's the only one that can explain why he did what he did, and he will use his head to carry what he has. The cross, the music he has started playing, like I've always been saying, he will dance to it, because that guy has a right to life. Every suspect has a right to life. Nobody has the monopoly of violence. You don't just go about killing people because you are bearing firearm given to you by the government of Nigeria to protect life and property. It's not making any sense to me. Then on the issue of the address code, that's because the surveillance team attached to the area command, Efurun, that's why they appear like that. But if you observe closely, you discover that their vehicle was clearly branded. So it's not something that will say, oh, they don't want them to know they are policemen. No, their vehicle was clearly branded. Area command, Efurun.
Right, so let's run through the major issues. So the officer Usman Nuhu, you say, is on his way to Abuja, but I counted at least 3-4 police officers in that video, and they're culpable as well. So what is their own fate in all of this, and how many are involved, at least for you?
It's a team of 5, and the 5 of them are on their way. They should be in force headquarters. It's not only ASP Nuhu that was taken to the force headquarters. The entire team was taken to the force headquarters, because it behoves on them to stop their colleague from doing the wrong thing. The video did not at any time show that they tried to stop him. So they cannot completely exonerate themselves from it, because the video did not at any time show them trying to restrain the police officer. You can restrain, you can even disarm your colleague when he's going out of line. They ought to have done that. They did not do that. So I believe they are culpable as well. They will go and defend themselves at the force headquarters. But it's not only ASP Nuhu Usman that was taken to force headquarters. The entire team, led by the area commander himself, they are presently in force headquarters as we speak.
So you say this cannot be explained in natural understanding. So based on that, what do we know about this officer Usman Nuhu?
Well, for now, we've not had any record of close to this kind of incidents from him. It has never happened. He has been in the command. I've known him for over 6 years. We've never had a reason to believe that he could do this. And by virtue of his rank, a 2-star officer, by virtue of his rank, it is expected that he knows what is right and what is wrong. It is expected that he knows what it takes, how it is for a police officer to be seen as professional. You should be able to understand what it means to respect human rights. And that was why I was mandated to go and bring a suspect. So that's why at the beginning I said, even though we don't believe in spiritual problem, you never can tell, because that's the only explanation that one can try to give. Because initially, from what we had, the suspect was handed over to him. He picked the suspect, put him in the vehicle. Before he said, okay, let's leave the park, he brought him out again and started doing what he did. So one cannot explain why he did what. He's the only one that can explain it. And it's not with me right now for me to bring him before the media to explain. Okay, maybe when he's eventually dismissed, he will explain in court why he did what he did.
But this young man, his name has been, he's been called Mene, the person who was killed. He was begging for his life. He kept saying, you know what, take me to Sapelaka. I will tell you. Whatever you need, I will tell you. I've never seen someone beg so passionately for life and cooperate in such manner. But we had the officer still shoot him, not once, twice, from that video we saw. And to a lot of Nigerians, it proves one thing, that the policeman, and perhaps others there, the other policemen, know something about that Beretta pistol that was way-built, and they didn't want him to spill any information. So while they must be punished for killing that man, I mean, to the very maximum sentence, we must also unravel what is behind that pistol that was way-built, because he kept saying, I would tell you. And it's only someone who is involved, someone who is guilty, that want to kill a witness that is about to spill the details of that particular operation.
Within the police cycle, if I tell you that we've not had that line of thought, then I'll be lying to you. Because we have been trying to ask ourselves, what are the possible reasons why the officer did this? But what makes it difficult to want to believe that is the circumstances that led to his deployment there. It was the area commander who deployed him. That kind of coincidence, it will be very difficult to be coincidental, though not completely impossible. We have very good hands in the Nigerian police force, and they will not just dismiss him and take him to court. Investigation will be carried out. A lot of analysis will be done to know the real motive behind that shooting, and also to know who sent that young man to rebuild that gun as well. And you know, this is not the first time. I've done videos where we recover gun, drugs, even cocaine that was passed away in a bulb through, and they were trying to rebuild it to different parts of the country. So we will definitely unravel this one. It's not ending by just say, okay, dismiss. No, investigation will be carried out to understand why he did what he did, knowing that the suspect is already willing to give you the information that you need to arrest more suspects. He has to explain. Definitely, he must explain. I would also like to add that in my years of service, I have never seen this. Yes, from distance we hear stories, but I have never. And I can tell you that I have only been able to watch that video once. And that was because I was watching it through my commissioner of police phone. I couldn't say, oh God, I can't watch this. But subsequently, whenever I hear that boy begging, I usually block my ear, because I just hope, I keep hoping he will not shoot, even though it had already passed. It is that bad, because that's somebody's son. It could be my brother, it could be anybody, and that guy could be innocent, for goodness sake. It could be. It could just be an innocent person who was sent to go and rebuild something, and nobody knows what, and he may not even know the content. So it's very sad. The police condemned this outrightly, and this incident happened on Sunday. Before the whole video started coming out, he was already on his way to Benin for the AIG to sign his query for him to go to force headquarters. So it's not something that the police intend to cover. The police has never covered such. One inspector that did something in the year 2023, he was dismissed, charged to court, and he was even sentenced to death. So one would wonder why policemen don't want to learn from the mistakes of others. It's very sad, and this guy will carry his cross. Yeah, I know, I'm very, very sure that he will face the worst penalty there is, because what he did is inhuman. He's not representing the police by any way with what he did.
Mr. Dafe, I must commend you for the honesty, because it's difficult to defend what was caught on camera. But let's also talk about the recording. Was it done by a policeman, or it was who did the recording? Is he also part of those who have been taken to Abuja?
You can't really tell, because it happened at the park.
Oh.
That shooting you are seeing happened at the park, where there were so many passers-by. So anybody could have taken that video. And I believe the policeman know that it was on record. So that's what I'm saying, it's not adding up. It's not really adding up. If, let us assume, he even knows something about it. Let us assume. Do you think he would do what he did in the open? He would not. So it's not adding up. When you look at the circumstances, he's the only one that can tell us the reason why he did what he did. Somebody even asked me if he's on drugs. I said, I don't know him to be on drugs. It's very sad. And that's why I say it's unexplainable. You can't even explain it.
So in winding down, doesn't this call for, police to start, maybe certain teams of the police to start wearing, body cam in that sense? Because if not for this thing being caught on camera, maybe this conversation would have gone another way. What do you think, Mr. Dafe?
Well, I would like to correct that impression that if it wasn't caught on camera, because on Monday we got the report. Like I said, that officer was issued query on Monday, and yesterday being Tuesday, in the morning they already left to the zone, like I earlier stated. So it's not because the video is out. Action had already been taken even before the video came out. You understand? So, like I said, the police does not cover. We've had antecedent. I don't want to start mentioning names. I don't want to discredit any other security agency, but I can tell you the Nigerian police force is the most transparent security agencies when it comes to disciplining their men. We don't just do it in secret. We do it and make it public. It's there for us, for everyone to see. That is it. Then the issue of body cams, I believe we will get there. Like I always say, Rome was not built in a day. We'll get there. It's a gradual process. We'll get there, and I hope we'll get there very soon, because it will, apart from recording evidence, it will put the policemen on their toes. Some of these incidents can be avoided just by the policeman knowing that I am recording myself and somebody is watching. It's everywhere. I don't think it's just in the Nigerian police. But like I said, the review is ongoing. We've had series of training even in the state. Right now as we speak, we are even having one presently. So we are on it. But like I said, it's a gradual process. I will really pray and hope that this ugly incident never ever repeat itself again. Nobody deserves to die in that manner.
So the question is, are there more officers who have this kind of traits that are still on the streets, on parole, or patrol rather, or undergoing some sort of operation right now? That's the big question. But I want to wind up with these two questions. On the one hand, that infamous saying of, I will shoot you and nothing will happen and nobody will hear. It's been trending yet again. And just in the midst of that, the video came out. And so people start wondering that, so some of these things they hear from some of the policemen they meet, that I will shoot you, I will buy you, as I say, and nothing will happen, may just be true. Thankfully, this is not going down that way. So what exactly happened right after they put the body of that young man in the van or in the space bus? What did they do to the body? How? Because I'm wondering, how did they go about it? Did they think they will dump the body? What exactly happened there? Because they were meant to go straight to the station, but they paused, brought him out, and the way he was even tied like a goat. That's a human being, for crying out loud. Whatever happened to just handcuffing, right? So what happened to the body? How did they dispose of the body of that young man? And secondly, people have been raising the point, SARS, hasn't SARS rather been disbanded? Why are they being called SARS yet again? And don't forget, this is what started NSARS in 2020, at least part of what started it. So I'd like you to speak to what happened to the body of that young man, and why are they being referred to as SARS when it's been disbanded?
All right. Like I said surveillance team. It's not a SARS personnel. However, people believed, people are towing the line of, or maybe he was operating in SARS before SARS was disbanded. I think that's why that issue is coming up. It's not a SARS person there. We don't have SARS in the command. We don't have SARS in any part of the country. In all that the SIS command, there is no SARS in the Nigerian police force. As for the body, upon shooting that young man, he took him to the area commander's office. And when the area commander saw him in his pool of blood, they quickly rushed him to the hospital. He died before he could get treatment. So it's not as if they disposed of the body. No. On the way to the hospital, that was when the young man died. Now, to address the saying that I will shoot you and nothing will happen, there's no right-thinking policeman that would think that nothing will happen, because we have history of policemen that are on death row. There was one that happened in Lagos. He was sentenced to either death or life imprisonment. The one that happened in Ugboluye in Delta State, he was sentenced to death. So who says nothing will happen is arrogance speaking. I don't even think it's ignorance, because they know. It's arrogance that is speaking. This young man that has done this, is he trying to say nothing will happen? Obviously something will happen. Something that will keep him away for life.
But Mr.
It's the truth.
I understand that point, but there's still a lot of issues. Why was his face covered in the release that was put out? We've already seen the officer's face in the video, but in the picture you put out, you covered his face. So people are wondering, are you sure this is the person you took to Abuja? There's a lot of trust to be built, so why cover his face when his face is already out there?
All right. Yes, our officer is first in Nigeria. It's part of the criteria to be a police officer. You must be a Nigerian. And the Nigerian Constitution has stated it clearly that media parade is not the way forward. If you observe, even when we are parading kidnappers, armed robbers, defaming suspects, rape suspects, we blur their faces, we cover their faces, or we take them from behind. So by this man being a police officer who is now a suspect, that does not take away that right of a Nigerian from him. That was why we had to do that. Let it not look like, oh, why be saying that you reach police store now, you decide to open it, because it is the same rule that governs every Nigerian.
But we've seen his face. We've all seen that face. And just to build trust and say, this is the same person we've taken to Abuja. Again, it happened right there. He shot him the first time. If I removed the magazine, pulled out a bullet, put it in the rifle and shot him again. So it's something we've seen, just to build trust.
While you are correct, I'm not saying you are not. If you ask me personal opinion, I may want to put his face out there. But I have rules of engagement that applies to all Nigerians, and I have to do that part. You know, the job, we don't operate on emotions or what people think. We have to follow the rule as it is written. His face is out there. When he gets to court, people will want to go and see whether he's the one. Like I said, there is no reason to cover anybody. There is absolutely no reason to cover anybody. People know that he has been arrested and is on his way to force headquarters. When he gets to court, they will still see that he's the one. That's just the truth. But covering his face is because I have to follow the laid down procedure on public relations.
Àṣàkẹ́ TV show.